it too. All right, everybody. Welcome to Toastmasters. Thank you so much for your patience this evening while we get everything set up. I'm going to move pretty fast here through. We don't actually have any guests. However, I want to welcome back a Toastmaster, Miss Tracy. Welcome back to Unity. So, I do want to ask, are you part of Toastmasters in New York?
Yes, I am.
Fabulous. That's wonderful. Welcome home. We're so happy to have you. This is great. Thank you so much. New table topics tonight. Yes. All right, everybody. Let's read our vision statement. Supporting success by building confidence, we change lives. All right. Very good. Very good. Excellent. Please help me welcome Miss Kelly Jenkins, who's giving our toast tip this evening. Welcome, Kelly.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I am working on getting rid of my notes, and I'm very tired this evening, but the toast tip for this evening is encourage yourself. It is great to have friends and family around to cheer you up when you are down, but the encouragement needs to come from inside. Recognize your strengths, trust yourself, and take care of yourself. When your situation seems difficult and your brain is telling you it's not worth it, try telling yourself, I refuse to settle where I am. There is more to life. I am going to be the best me that I can possibly be. This will aid in building more confidence as well as continuing to come to Toastmasters. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. It's great to remind ourselves of important things as far as great habits go. We need to continue to find those channels in our brain and encourage them, right? That's a great tip. Thank you so much, Kelly. All right, we have a great meeting planned for you. Thank you again for your patience. We're going to move right into this. It is my pleasure to introduce you to your fantastic Toastmaster. And thank you for stepping up. Please help me welcome Mr. Jeff Pierce.
Hello everyone, I will be your Toastmaster for tonight, and my role in tonight's meeting is to first introduce the theme, which is experiential learning. Then I will introduce the three speakers. Don Ratliff, at the last minute, offered up to speak, because we had someone drop off at the last minute. I appreciate that, Don.
Yeah, Don.
And then I will wrap up the meeting relative to the theme. Let's start with the theme. Experiential learning. For those of you who have heard me speak, I talk often about continual renewal and leadership. Experiential learning is aligned with that. What that is, it's a process. You have an experience, whether it's here at Toastmasters, whether it's at work, whether it's doing a hobby, such as golf or skiing. Once you have that experience, you reflect. You reflect on what you did well, what you could do differently, what could have done better. Once you do that, then you conceptualize how you can get better. And how you do that, for instance, if it's at Toastmasters, are evaluations. It gives you suggestions on how to get better. You conceptualize how you can do that next time. If it's at work, you reach out to a peer or a boss to ask what you can do better. Conceptualize. It could be a hobby. It could be skiing. It could be golf. Reach out to someone who's better than you and ask how you could do things differently. Conceptualize how you can do that differently. Once you do that, then you experiment. Through that whole process, you've reflected on what went well, what you could do better, and then the conceptualization, you experiment the next time and you get better. Therefore, it's the entire process of reflecting, conceptualizing, and then experimenting to get better. Throughout the meeting, let's think about that. Let's try to get better through experiential learning. Now, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our general evaluator, Robbie.
All right, Robbie.
fellow Toastmaster and welcome guest. Today I'm going to be your general evaluator, which means I will be evaluating each and everything, whatever is happening today in this meeting, I'll be evaluating. And to some of the things that I will be looking at during this meeting will be whether we started on time, is there anything that as a club we could improve on, or like our speakers or our evaluators, whether they have done their job well. So I'll be looking at each and everything, and I'll give you my brief report at the end of the meeting. And for today's evaluation, I have a very good team. They're gonna help me to evaluate each and everything in the meeting. First of all, I would like to ask our first evaluator, who's gonna be Timer, Nam. Could you tell us what you are going to do in this meeting today?
Mr. General Evaluators, my fellow Toastmasters. Today I am your timer. My job is to monitor and record the time for each speaker. First, I would like to do some verification. So Melissa, you speak for 5 to 7 minutes, right? Sorry. 4 to 6. Mo, 5 to 7?
8 to 10.
Or 8 to 10? And Don?
5 to 7.
5 to 7. So for prepared speeches from 4 to 6, by when you get 4 minutes, you're gonna see the green light. 5 minutes, you can see a yellow light, and 6 minutes, see a red light. The reason we use this one because the light, our light doesn't work, so this is the backup plan for today. And 8 to 10. So again, by 8 minutes you can see a green light, yellow light at 9 minutes, and 10 minutes you see the red light. For 5 to 7, same thing. For tabletop speaker, you have 1 to 2 minutes to answer the question. So when you reach 1 minute, you're gonna see the green light. 1 minute and 30 seconds, you see the yellow light, and at 2 minutes, see the red light. However, for all speaker, you do have 30 second grace periods to wrap up your speech. You still qualify for the vote, and I will report my timing by the end of the meeting with the general evaluation.
Good job.
And for our grammarian role, we have Christy. Could you tell us what you are going to do today?
Yes, I am the grammarian today, and it's my responsibility to introduce the word of the day and to comment on the use of the English language during the meeting. The word I chose today was merriment in light of our holiday season, and the definition is lighthearted gaiety or fun making. Fun making. Thank you very much.
And when you are called upon for the table topics, please use the word
Yes,
of
thank
this day so that you are qualified for the best table topics. And for our all counter today, we have Steve. Tell us what you are doing today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. It is my pleasure to serve as your odd-counter this evening. I am looking for any unnecessary utterances, so, and things that would create a crutch for us, things that we lean on when we don't need to. We want to have clean and clear speech. I'm here to give you happy feedback to help you improve. I will not click on any organized speakers with those prepared speeches, and I will also not click for any guests who are speaking this evening. Thank you so much.
All right.
For ballot counter role, we have Lakshmi. Could you tell us what you are going to do today?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I will be your ballot counter, which means at the end of prepared speeches, the evaluations, and the table topics, I will be coming around and collecting the ballots. And towards the end, I will be presenting the ribbon. Thank you.
As you all know, there has been 3 speakers. So to evaluate our 3 speakers, we have 3 evaluators as well. First of all, I would like to ask Jake what he is going to look into the speech of Malaysia.
So my evaluation will be 1 to 2 minutes, is it? Or
2 to 3.
2 to 3 minutes, and I'll be evaluating Melissa's speech.
Kelly is going to be our second evaluator. She's going to evaluate Mo. Could you tell us like what you are going to see in Mo's speech?
Oh, I want to see excitement and power from him, and I'll evaluate him after his speech.
And our third and final evaluator will be Dan McGuinness. He's going to evaluate Don Ratliff. Could you tell us what you are going to see in his speech?
I'm going to be evaluating my good friend Don Ratliff from Unity Speakers, and it says how to say it. That's all I know for right now, because I just received this just now, just like he decided he would speak about 3.5 minutes ago. And he's a DTN, so he will do a great job.
Good job. Thank you. And also there has been one more change on our agenda today. Today's joke master is going to be Viraj, replacing Steve. So I think that's it. I think with that said, I would like to turn over the meeting to our Toastmaster, Jeff. Please.
For our first speaker tonight, we have an icebreaker. Melissa is completing her icebreaker speech this evening. One of her goals in attending Toastmasters is to become a better presenter so she can apply that to her career development. Her speech title is Confidently Weird. Please help me welcome Melissa Redman.
Alright. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I am here tonight to tell you a little bit about myself. And since I am a very visual person, I decided to include some imagery to accompany my speech. Don't worry, they're not all pictures of me. I know that having the subject of the icebreaker be about something you know yourself is meant to make it easier. I found it quite difficult because I have a terrible memory. I grew up here. Well, not there. That's Philadelphia City Hall. I actually grew up in this house with my parents, my sister, and a variety of pets in a neighborhood called Fishtown. Thank you, Google Maps. However, when we lived there, it did not have that ugly yellow door. Although I had a fairly pleasant childhood, I struggled to fit in and had issues with anxiety and depression, which I continue to have. I have never liked being the center of attention. Unfortunately, I am one of the 2% of the human population that have a mutated MC1R gene, which results in red hair and lots of attention. I remember my grandmother telling me not to misbehave. They always remember the redhead. She wasn't wrong. My first day of 3rd grade at a new school, a girl got herself stuck behind a pipe in the girls' bathroom, and I tried to help her. Next thing I know, I'm being blamed for putting her there. I had a really hard time with school and was very shy. So shy, in fact, my teacher tried to send me to speech therapy because I wouldn't speak up in class. I continue to progress in school, and standing here today, I'm still working on the speaking up part. After high school, I went to college for art therapy, but psychology classes were not for me. And I ended up graduating from paralegal school in 2000. I've spent a lot of time trying to find myself, and in 2003, I moved to Los Angeles with my then boyfriend because frankly, I didn't know what else to do. I worked in administrative roles and was in and out of school the entire time I was in Los Angeles, trying to find my path. The majority of my schooling was in creative fields: drawing, painting, graphic design, sculpture, fashion design. The list is as long as my student loan debt. And after 20 years in school, that's pretty large. Even in art school, I didn't quite fit in. While other students liked artists such as Duchamp, Hockney, and Hearst, I was more interested in artists like Carrington, Baskin, and Klimt. I am an introverted, overthinking, anxiety-fueled weirdo that loves cats and drinking tea. Well, that may be the worst dating app profile. I did meet my current boyfriend on a dating app in Los Angeles. We had our first date in a barrel. Really, in a barrel. LA wasn't easy for many reasons, and my boyfriend and I decided to move to Phoenix in 2016. Since moving here, I have graduated from school with my bachelor's degree, acquired my human resources certification, joined Toastmasters, recently took an improv class, and have decided to start my master's degree next year. As I get older, I am learning to accept my weird self. I am someone that likes bird watching and the symphony just as much as adult puppet and drag shows. I will continue my personal development through school and Toastmasters so I can conquer my anxiety and be confidently weird. In closing, I would like to leave you with this quote. When you become the image of your own imagination, it's the most powerful thing you could ever do. RuPaul. No, I haven't been there.
Jeff, leave it on, just in case. Belly stuff.
Mr. Toastmaster, we have a minute on the clock.
Oh yeah, sorry, minute for evaluations. Time's up. Before we start our next speaker, I would just like to congratulate Melissa. That's a great step on conquering your anxiety. It's putting yourself in the hot seat. You just got to get up there and do it. Great job.
Yes.
For our next speaker, who is Mo Brand. Last week, Mo spoke about demonstration and negotiations after being evaluated by Tom Otstadt. He's coming back with some adjustment and visual aids. The title of his speech is Selling Value. Please help me welcome Mo Brand.
Talk about experiential learning. This is the first time I use visual aids, so it's going to be exciting for me. Have you ever Googled the word salesman? If you have, Google search will come up and tell you it's a person that sells a product or advertises a product, either in person, over the phone, or they'll come to you. And when you think of sales representatives, you think of the good ones, like Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar, born in the 1920s, eventually became a door-to-door salesman, American author, very successful, and became a motivational speaker. You see, Zig Ziglar believed that the most important persuasion tool you have in your arsenal is integrity. Integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Somewhere along the lines, salesmen or saleswomen, we've had a bad reputation. So much that Urban Dictionary defines a salesman as a professional liar. Someone who lies to sell a product, a slick bastard, so on and so forth. You can read it later. And for whatever reason, when you hear the word salesman, you think of this guy. Anybody agree with that statement? Not too many. We must have a lot of sales representatives in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. My name is Mo Brand, and I'm a salesman. I sell car repairs, and I don't agree with Urban Dictionary. I'm not here today to tell you about the ABCs of selling. You guys remember that? ABC, always be closing. There you go. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not here to tell you today to be relentless, to be aggressive with your clients. I'm not here today to tell you to shove anything down anybody's throat or really stick it to the customer. I'm here to give you a few pointers about what works for me and what I learned through this research. Now, somewhere along the line, I believe that we've lost something that has given us a bad rep. And I believe that's value. We've lost value. Not for the product that you're selling, not for the services that you're offering, not for your knowledge. But I think we've lost value on the most important thing you can have, your clients. Let's start there, clients. You have your customers, you have your clients. There's a difference. A customer is coming just to buy a product and leave. And then you have your clients that get personalized service. Forbes magazine back in 2013 released an article, The 4 Steps to Mastering the Arts of Sales. And the first thing that came on there was, provide a solution to a problem. Well, what does that mean? Your client comes to you for a specific reason. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Handyman, real estate, hairdresser, buttons, financial advising. They're there because they need you. Either because they don't know, they don't have the time, or they just don't want to do it. It's your job to find out what the client's needs are. And you're going to find that out by applying one very important tool we learned here at Toastmasters. And that's your listening skills. It's your job to listen to the client. Find out what those needs are. Sometimes they don't even know. You have to really get into the client's shoes. What are they feeling? Now, really listen to them. Don't just hear them out. When you listen to your client, you're valuing their time. And they're going to embrace that. And by really listening to your client, you're going to find out exactly what the needs are. Not necessarily what they want, what the client's needs are. And if you get it right, they'll thank you. Don't believe me? This article came out August of this year. The top 10 things clients are looking for. And the one thing that they asked is for personalized service. By the way, this had 1,000 people polled, and 61% of them said they feel like they're being treated like just another case number. 59% of them said all we want is to be treated normal. So what does that tell you? There's an emotional need there as well. There's a connection you have to make with the client. Again, you have to buy value with the client first. Before you offer them your product, before you tell them how great you are, you have to make that communication with your client. In my particular field, clients, when they come into the service drive, there's already a tension there. You're coming into the car dealership. It's my job to relax you, to drop your shoulders. I believe that we've lost communication with the client because of this. Check this out. The triangle here represents time, okay? We are spending not enough time demonstrating value. So we spend this much little time offering the product, trying to shove it down your throats. You gotta buy, you gotta buy, you gotta buy. So what happens is that you gotta spend this time negotiating, talking prices. Well, what if we flip that around? What if we spend a good amount of time talking to the client about how valuable, number one, they are, how they're gonna benefit from your product, how their lives are gonna be a lot more simpler. They're gonna be worry-free, a peace of mind. By the end of all that, if you spend enough time with your client talking about value, you won't have to spend too much time negotiating. You won't have to spend too much time talking about price, because they're gonna see the value in what you have to offer. Let me give you a little example. About a couple of weeks ago, somebody gave me a projector and I knew nothing about it. I went over to Best Buy and I showed the guy the picture of the back of the projector. And I said, listen, I don't know anything about it, but I can't get any audio from it. And right away, he said, not a problem. He walked me over. He showed me the products that I needed. He showed me the receiver. He showed me the wireless speakers. Not only did he show them to me, he demonstrated how they worked, and all of a sudden, this guy's showing me a vision of what potentially my living room could be. And as soon as he turned on those speakers, I was sold. By the way, he hasn't mentioned price. All he's done at this point in time is listen to my needs, what I want, and offered me suggestions. I didn't buy anything that day because I knew I was just going there to ask questions, but when I go back, for sure, I know what I want. Again, I didn't feel rushed. He listened to my needs. He knew what I wanted, but he offered me a better option. Spent so much time demonstrating value. I'm not worried about the price. My wife might be. She might not let me buy the product. What I'm trying to say, you guys, spend more time with your clients. Offer them real value in their time. And I promise you, you won't have to sell them anything. Before I go, Zig Ziglar said, every sell has 5 basic obstacles. No need, no money, no hurry, no desire, and no trust. Mr. Toastmaster.
Oh yeah, sorry.
1 minute.
1 minute for evaluations. minutes up, pens down, please. Pencils down. Before I introduce our last speaker, Don has on many occasions stepped up when we needed a speaker or somebody last minute. And that's through all of his experience, through what you'll get through here, through Toastmasters, being able to speak on a dime, impromptu. Our final speaker tonight, Don Ratliff. Don is a businessman, part-time Santa, and a father of 3. Don joined Unity Speakers 8 years ago after spending his entire life believing he had a brain defect that caused his brain to freeze up and at times for his words to come out of his mouth in an order other than he intended. Tonight, Don is going to talk about his journey in Toastmasters. Please help me welcome Don Ratliff. My journey, Don Ratliff.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. As a Toastmaster was reading in my introduction, I did grow up with the belief that I had a brain defect. Because most of my life, when I would stand up in front of a group and speak, my brain would freeze. And if I was lucky enough to not have it freeze, there was a good chance that the words that I wanted to speak would come out in an order other than I intended. As you can imagine, that would be very embarrassing. And so most of my life I didn't do a lot of speaking, and certainly not in front of groups. And as I started to speak in front of groups, even before I joined Toastmasters, there was a lot of fear involved. There were times that I didn't succeed the way that I wanted to. And what finally drove me to come into Toastmasters was I was asked to be best man at a friend's wedding. And I said yes before I realized the full implication of my answer, that I was going to be giving a speech. And there were so many things that I wanted to say about this man because he was an amazing man. And I knew I didn't have the confidence to be able to deliver a speech extemporaneously. And so I made the decision that I was going to write out my speech. And when the time came, read it. Well, fellow Toastmasters, it was an outdoor wedding. And when the time came, I took the microphone, grabbed my notes, and I started to read this 4-page speech that I had written for my friend. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, it wasn't long into my speech and the gust of wind came along and folded my papers in half. And I had to stop, unfold them, find my place again and start over. And that happened 4 or 5 times. I was humiliated. I was embarrassed beyond belief. And I made a commitment that night that I was going to join Toastmasters because I was never going to let that happen again. And later that month, I did join Toastmasters. I came through those doors, but it took me a while before I made the decision to actually do anything about it. I sat in the back of the room, too afraid to take any action. And what I found is that I wasn't going to grow until I faced my fear. I had to be up here if I was going to experience any real growth. Unfortunately, with the 2 mentors that I had, they encouraged me, they pushed me, they nudged me was necessary. Unfortunately, with their love and their support, I was able to finally get up here. Now, before I got up here, there was an experience I had that just terrified me all the more. Another member who joined about the same time as I did came up here, and he froze. And I could see the terror in his eyes when he couldn't remember what it was he wanted to say, and I just knew that that was going to be my fate. But the following week, I got up here and I spoke. I had to face that fear if I was going to grow. And I'm happy to say at least that time I didn't freeze. I wish I had a video of that first time. I don't. But by my willingness to face my fear, I was able to learn. I was able to grow. Now, when I first joined, I had never intended, no intention whatsoever, to even complete my competent communication manual. I just wanted to be able to get up here and be able to speak and confident to speak, mostly extemporaneously. That was my big mission. I wanted to be comfortable up here, that I could speak and have my words come out of my mouth in the order that I did intend them to. Over time, by continually coming back and coming back and coming back again and again, I started to complete some of the projects in that manual. And eventually, quite unexpectedly, I was able to finish my Competent Communication Manual. Then I would decide to go on and finish my Competent Leader Manual. And then, with a mentor who's sitting at the very back of the room, Shelley Gabriel, she encouraged me to take some other steps. She encouraged me to take some leadership in this district, become an area government. She had her sights on the prize for me, even though I don't think I realized it at the time. 2 years ago, when I was at Carpe Diem, the prison Toastmasters Club that I volunteer with, I was sitting at the very back of the room with the 3 other volunteers, and the president of the club started walking back, and he just stopped in his tracks. And he looked at all 4 of us. And he says, wow, 4 distinguished Toastmasters. Now, I'm not sure if you could see in the future, but at the time I was not a distinguished Toastmaster, and I had to raise my hand and say, no, I'm not. But there was something in the way he said that inspired me, that made me want to go after the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. Not for me, but for them. Because it's very difficult for them to be able to achieve Distinguished Toastmaster. And so at that meeting, I made a commitment that 2 years from that date, I was going to achieve the status of a Distinguished Toastmaster. And I was going to accomplish it by December 31st, 2018. Well, fellow Toastmasters, I'm very proud to tell you that this week, I was finally able to accomplish all the requirements for becoming a Distinguished Toastmaster. And I do not tell you that to brag. The reason that I want to tell you about that is I want to encourage you to keep going. We all come into this room with various levels of speaking capability. For many of you here, English isn't even your first language. I think I can confidently say that we're all here because we want to improve our ability to communicate. And what I'm going to encourage you is to just keep coming back. Keep stepping up to the plate. Continually challenge yourself to do things that you haven't done before. Be willing to face your fear, because that's where the growth is. When you're able to face your fear and you have some success, that's the way that you build confidence. That's the way that you build competence as a speaker. It's easy to sit in the back of the room like I did when I first came in. It's not so easy to step up here. But again, it's where you're going to have the greatest amount of growth. Sitting back there, you can watch other speakers and determine how you may want to structure your speeches when your time comes. But you've got to be up here. Get involved, be an evaluator. Come up here and take part in table topics. Do whatever it takes to continue your growth in speaking, in Toastmasters. In the time that I've been a Toastmaster, and most recently in the last couple of years, I've accomplished things that I never dreamed possible because I gained confidence as a speaker. And I want to see the same for you. It's worth the effort. Let's do it. Toastmasters.
Evaluations, please.
Does anybody else need an evaluation form? They're the only handed out or two.
Okay. Does everyone have them? Evaluations? Pens down, please. For a timer's report, Nam?
The Toastmaster is my report. Melissa spoke for 4 minutes, 20 seconds. Mo, 9 minutes, 32 seconds. And Don, 7 minutes, and 24 seconds. Everyone qualified for the vote.
Vote now. For the best speaker.
Won 3 times.
Melissa, Mo, or Don?
No cheating in voting. This is not election year. Huh? No crazy. You have a dream.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have an icebreaker here?
Now for our joke master, Raj.
How many of you have lately used a vacuum cleaner? Please raise your hand. How many you have used more than one time? What is wrong with you guys? You keep using it again and again, even though it sucks.
Well, I was expecting Indian joke.
Only Barry can say that.
That's a good one, Raj.
And now I would turn the meeting back to our general evaluator, Ravi.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Now we are going to move on to our evaluation part of the meeting. And wow, what a wonderful speeches from our speaker today. Great speeches. And today, to evaluate Melissa's speech, we have Jake. Please help me welcome Jake.
Well, Melissa, I've heard a lot of speeches, and if the goal of an icebreaker speech is for you to communicate who you are, it was one of the most memorable, it's the most memorable speech that I have heard. And you were so effective. You were so effective in communicating who you are. The visual, maybe I'm a visual person, I didn't think I was, but I'm always gonna remember you're from Philadelphia with that stupid door. And I know it wasn't your door, but really the visual aids I think really did help. You know, seeing you as a middle schooler in LA, in Arizona, good move by the way, moving from LA to Arizona. But the artwork, you know, the art that you liked, the art that you didn't like, it really did help me and all of us, I think, get to know who you are. And it's funny to me that you know, there's some things obviously, and I'm giving you advice, and you had the courage to come up here and be an icebreaker, so good on you. You could, some things that would help you do better, not have the note cards and look down, because your voice does not project when you do that. You could move around, like, I don't know if evaluators are supposed to move around, but that would help too. But maybe that isn't totally necessary, because that too helped communicate who you are. You, like you said, you are more introverted, more shy. And I will just say, it's funny that your speech was about insecurities, anxiety, red hair, vulnerability. But at the end of the day, for me, you have a trait that so many, it's the one trait that so many people lack, even great leaders, and it's courage. That's what you have. Good job.
All right.
Thank you. Wow, it's a great evaluation. Without
Yes.
notes, I don't know if I've seen you before here, but you are amazing. You have great confidence to come up here without notes. Great job. And also, I would like to say something to Melissa as well. Like, this is your icebreaker, and I've been listening to so many icebreakers, and I've never seen icebreakers so much, about your information. I think today I knew so many things about you, so great job on that. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, for our second speaker, Mo, we have Kelly. Kelly is going to evaluate. Mo, please come bring it back.
I'm very excited to be up here and evaluate. I'm very honored as well. And I have my notes. If tonight's speech was the speech that you did last week, you greatly improved. One of my favorite things in the beginning was I loved how you said, I am Mo Brand and I am a salesman. To me, that was extremely powerful, like you know who you are and you're up here ready to tell everyone about yourself. I felt you were genuine, so to kind of give you a backstory, Mo is my salesman. I call up to where he works and I had said, I have a Ford, can I bring it into the Chevy dealership? He said yes. So he has been very genuine with me and I feel very confident to be his client. And so you selling value and you talking about that, I really believe you because I've experienced it. I feel that you also let everyone else know that if they have a car that they need work done, they should bring it to you as well. I love your vocal variety. I think since I've been coming here, you've changed it up a little bit. Actually, I feel a lot. You have more tone and your volume goes up and down a lot. I guess interesting? I don't know, it's engaging for me. And I think that engages everyone else as well. You are very clear when you speak. There were a couple of times I felt you slurred your words together, but I think that might be your accent sometimes.
English.
It almost sounded like a little bit of an auctioneer, but that's okay. But I say all my consonants, so it's a little bit different. And I believe that you spoke about selling value and you stayed on that topic the entire time. You provided a solution to what a client needs, and I believe you had great research by the Zig Ziglar, all your PowerPoints, and you talked about 61%. Please forgive me, I don't remember exactly what that was, but that was impressive as far as the research. I enjoyed that. I didn't catch you saying okay this time. I did catch you saying tuh and fur. Those are one of my pet peeves. But that was only just a couple of times. I feel your comfort level, although you say you were nervous, I felt that you didn't look it. You looked very comfortable, especially with your tone and how you went up and down on your volume. And I enjoy your gestures, and you definitely have excellent eye contact with everyone. So I was very proud of you. It was powerful like I knew it would be, and thank you for allowing me to evaluate you.
Thank you.
And our third and final speech evaluator is going to be Dan McInnes, and he is going to evaluate Don's speech. Please help me welcome Dan.
one very unique technique that Don Ratliff has is demonstrating love to other people. July 6th, 2017, I had my first ever heart attack and got stent number 13 and 14. Later that evening, Unity Speakers was having a party at Don's house, and he called me on my cell phone and asked me if I wanted to participate in Table Topics. I will never forget that. That's the highlight of 12 years in Toastmasters. And Don mentioned the Toastmaster Club south here in the prison, which I had the opportunity of visiting that club with him once. And after I've heard this speech more than once, I realized I grew up a lot like you, except I was just too ignorant to realize that I was a lot like you, that I didn't. I thought I had a problem or whatever. You have a very strong stage presence. It's very difficult to find anything that you can improve upon. But there were two, and they stood out to me. And I think I've mentioned this to you before. Your gestures are right. It's like you're directing the music of the band, you know? Let this hand get up there and help out a little bit too. Involve it. Don't procrastinate, making that hand stay down here like that. And if you're going to use one hand, it's difficult, I think, to make big gestures and just use one hand, but make some larger gestures than what you do normally. The other thing is, you stayed right there. I think you must have just forgot, because you know much more than that. To move around. Get over here. Even though you may not like Barry, at least make eye contact with Barry. And this lady here, who gave the best icebreaker I've ever heard in 12 years, the first person ever to use a PowerPoint and give an icebreaker. Look at the lady.
Yeah.
Let her know you appreciate her. Other than that, there's nothing else that you can improve. It's an honor and a pleasure to know you, and I appreciate you creating and making my Nadota buttons.
Thank you, Dan, for that evaluation. Now I'd like to ask for the timers report, because that are all of our.
Okay, midterm general evaluator. Jake spoke for 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Kelly, 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Dan, 2 minutes and 43 seconds. All three of them actually qualified for the result.
Great, thank you. Now at this time we are going to move on to our best part of the meeting, table topics. Yeah, please vote for our 3 evaluators. That's it. He will collect his ballots. We will move on. We are running out of time, so I would like to move on with our table topics. And for today, table topics will be led by Raymond. Please help me welcome Raymond.
Mr. Toastmaster. So today's theme is conceptual learning, and I'm somebody that enjoy a lot of learning, but there are struggles and rewards in the world of learning, and we're all learners. So today, I'll have Hovey join us. What is one thing that you have learned this year, Hovey? All right.
I'm going to answer that with merriment, lightheaded, and try not to be fun-maker, but lightheaded, merriment attitude. So what I learned about this year is, or was, we have different events that occur this year that is unexpected. Some that we thought it go one direction, but when it happened, it just like completely different direction. I have people that come into my life that I never thought before, and some different experience that I never had that before. As one example, I have a chance to learn more, for example, of how to sponsor a person to just come here to visit, just 2 weeks, and all the paperwork that had to be included in that. But this year has been great. I have been given different opportunity, and I think I'm going to start using that in the next year, which is like 2 or 3 weeks. Mr.
Next, let's have Barry join us. Barry, what is the most challenging thing you have to learn, and how did you do it?
Thank you.
Don't forget to use the word of the day, my friend.
Table topic masters. It is always the merriment time for me to be here in the best Toastmasters club in the whole universe, Unity, and among you. And at this time, which is the almost end of the year. The most challenging for me was 4.5 years ago, pushing almost 5, and I came here for the first time to Unity, and I felt totally different people that I was at home. And then they asked me the same questions, how did I find the club and blah, blah, blah. And then this young gentleman, much healthier at that time, Dan McGinnis, was a table topic masters and called me to speak for 1.5 minutes. And to this day, ladies and gentlemen, I am still the record holder in number of you know, so, and some swear words in my language that nobody can ever beat. I was told 104, and this is 1.04, see? But thanks to him, I joined other clubs, and thanks to persistence and my vision, like Don was talking about, that one day I will also be a DTM. And also remembering what my father was telling me when I was working on my master thesis. Son, if other dummies can do it, you can do it too. And to this day, I follow that motto, because if Dan can do it, Don can do it, I can do it too. If I can do it, so are you. Thank you, Mr.
I know we're short on time, but I think we'd like to do just one more. Nam, my friend, what is one goal that you would like to accomplish in your lifetime?
Thank you.
Don't forget to use the word of the day.
Merriment. I love to be a joker. This, but by the way, it's not my goal. My goal of this year is to, next year, because this year is almost over, to look to get a different job, different positions. That's why I have been pursuing for different positions for a couple of years, but I couldn't still get the one that I really like. Somehow, get a job is not, some people told me, why do you always want to make more money? I said, sometimes you get a new job is not just about money, about looking for something that you are passionate about to do, you pride about to do it. So I don't mind if the rest of my life I will continue to look for a different job, different positions, because when you learn the new things, that's how you improve it. One my professor once told me that you grow when you solve the problem. And then if you keep doing one thing and over, actually you couldn't solve the problem because the problem has been solved many years already. Thank you.
And also, can we get a report on the time, please?
Okay.
We can have one more.
One more? We can have one more. Do we have any volunteers in the audience? Tracy! Alright, Tracy. So, I have not met you before today, but I'm aware that you've been a member of this club maybe a couple of years ago. Can you tell us something that you have learned while you've been away in New York?
Sure. In fact, I came to the meeting around 6 months ago. So Don, he invited me since he found me in a different meeting in Tempe. And 6 months ago, I would say I was so nervous. Even I tried a few meetings. However, I feel so uncomfortable when I stand here. I attend a few meetings here, I think around 4, and I even had a chance to give a speech without paying for the membership fee. I guess I was so lucky. So I would say, I think it's a room full of merriment and also full of happiness. And I hope I can attend a meeting more.
All right.
Okay, for Mr. Table Topic Master, for the Table Topic Speaker, Hovey spoke for 1 minute and 29 seconds. Barry spoke for 1 minute and 41 seconds. Nam, I spoke for 1 minute and 5 seconds. Tracy, you spoke for 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Thank you. Oh, everyone is qualified for the.
And everybody did use the word of the day.
Yes.
Yay!
Excellent. All right, and we'll have a vote on the.
Repeat the names who to vote for.
Oh, yes. So we have Tracy, Nam, also
Hovey.
Barry,
And Hovey.
and Hovey.
And Hovey. All right.
All right, and Mr. Toastmaster, I'll hand the meeting back to you.
All right. Woo!
Great job, Raymond. Now at this time, I would like to ask our evaluation team to give us our report of the meeting, and I would like to start with our grammarian, Christy. Could you tell us what you have homework?
Thank you. So I'm going to be honest and let you guys know that I was so immersed in speeches I forgot for a portion that I was a grammarian this evening, so I apologize. I picked it up as Mo was starting. So Melissa, I just want to say you did a great job. I was just mesmerized by your speech and totally forgot what I was doing, so good job, you mesmerized me. Mo, I heard a lot of great stuff in your speech. I definitely love your Zig Ziglar reference, like you can't go wrong there. The screen where you had integrity and persuasion, that was really good. I liked when you said applying one tool from Toastmasters, your listening skills, so I like that you brought in the skills that we use here into your everyday lives. I like that you said, don't believe me, and then you dropped some facts. That was cool. Very salesman of you. You also said that my job is to relax you and drop your shoulders, and that was just kind of a good visualization. It kind of just made me want to drop my shoulders and relax for the moment. And also, I really enjoyed one of your close to your closing, where you said, spend more time with your clients. Offer real value, and I promise you, you won't have to sell them anything. Like, I love that. That was so good. And Don, nobody uses a pause like Don uses pauses. Like, man, I'm just listening to him, and you're so good. And it's like, I want to get there. You inspired me, motivated me. I wish I could get up and do a speech right after you, just to talk and just do what you said and, you know, give it everything. And so I wrote a lot, but really just in context, you're an amazing speaker, and I admire you, and I can't wait to be at that same level. So thank you for that.
Keep going.
Thanks. And I think that's it for me today. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to ask for our counter report from our president, Steve.
Fellow Toastmasters, you heard me clicking in the back. I promise it is with love. Just to share a quick overview. Nam, we heard 2 uhs. Christy, your crutch seems to be the and like, or the and so. So we heard 3 ands. Could you please click me, because I just actually used so. We heard 3 ands, 1 so, 2 ums, 3 likes, which are a lot of the and like, and then 1 you know. But not bad. Mo, I heard 1 and. Trying not to add that crutch word there too, as I'm going myself. Don, I heard 1 double clutch, sir. Kelly, I heard 4 ands and 1 so, and then there was a double clutch as well, but really good. It's a lot better than it has been. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Dan, I heard 1 and then 2 double clutches, sir. Ray, you were clean as a whistle. I got to tell you, nice job on that. Lakshmi, also clean as a whistle. Jeff, clean as a whistle. Melissa, I didn't hear 1 utterance of and so, you know, anything crutch from you. And if I missed it, I apologize, but I gotta say, that's very impressive. Ravi, I heard 2 ands and 2 double clutches. Hovi, sir, 3 uhs, 1 and, 1 pause. That's it, that's a pregnant pause, FYI for you. Raj, clean as a whistle, sir. Great news. Tracy, 2 uhs, but otherwise wonderful. I had just, I'm littered, I have to tell you. It's just all through, I apologize. Jake, we heard 2 ands, 1 so, 2 you knows, and double clutch is your favorite. Thank you all.
Now I would like to ask for our ballot counter to give us the winners. Please welcome Lakshmi.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. The most important part of the day, the ballot awards, right? So for speech, Melissa.
Loud and proud. One more. Thank you very much.
That's the evaluator of the day, Jake.
Ready? 1, 2, and 1 more. All right, now we can have a face-off. Okay?
Table topics. It's Tracy.
Welcome back, Tracy. Good over here. I just don't know what that is at the bottom. All right, ready? 1, 2, and one more. All right, thanks, you guys.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you to Toastmasters.
No.
Nobody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Now I would like to give my report today. I would like to start with the positives throughout the meeting. First of all, I would like to thank our Toastmaster Jeff for stepping up for the Toastmaster role when we needed him. He stepped up and then filled up the role really well, and thank you for that. And I would like to thank Christy, Dawn, and Dan for stepping up for the roles. Dan spoke, and then Dan, he evaluated him, and then Christy at the last minute, she signed up for the grammarian role. Thank you for that. And also, I would like to thank Nam for doing an excellent job as a timer. Even though our timing machine wasn't working, he improvised, and then he came up with 2 plans. He had one on the cell phone, different colors, and also he had paper at the same time. So really, job really well done. Thank you. And some of the things that we could improve as a club, I could see is that today we started 10 minutes late. I think it's very important that we start our meeting on time and in on time. But at the same time, like when we are running behind, I think it's all of our members to step up and then help our meeting to run smoothly, so because today our what is his name?
Sergeants in Arms?
Yeah, Sergeant in Arms, he wasn't here. He left the package here, and then and nobody was there to set up the whole meeting. There are some of the things that everybody in our Toastmasters has to know about it. Like there are things like we have to set up our ribbons and our banner, and then our timer thing, and then also the Toastmaster boards outside. So this is not only the responsibility of our what do you call it? Officers. Like I think it's all of our responsibility to help them to make our club successful. So whenever we have a time, please help, so that we could all start on time. So that is something I noticed it. And for speech evaluators, I think whenever the speech, whoever is speaking in the front, right? I mean, it's our responsibility to applaud them and then clap the hands, so that they are encouraged more to come up here and then and they feel more welcomed, and so that they could speak confidently. I think it's our responsibility to clap them or cheer them, however we can have it. The more the sound, the more the applaud is, the more is better for them to speak. So I think that's something we have to work on as well. And I think that's it. I think that's my report, and thank you so much. It was a wonderful meeting. At this time, I would like to welcome back our Toastmaster, Jeff Pierce.
I'm going to wrap up the meeting in terms of our theme, experiential learning. For Melissa and for all of us, Don's example is the epitome of experiential learning. He thought he had a disability. He comes to Toastmasters, listens, watches, reflects on what he can do better, what his issues are, how he can improve. Then he conceptualizes with the help of Shelley, his mentor, with everybody in here, with Dan, the people who have been here the longest. They helped him conceptualize how to get better. Then he experimented. He came up over and over. I wasn't here for a long duration when he was improving. When I came, he was already pretty good. But that's the epitome of experiential learning. He reflected, he conceptualized, and he got better. That's what all of us need to do in every aspect of our lives. And I promise you, if you do and you persevere, you'll conquer anything you want. Now to our president, Steve Spivey.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, thank you very much. Great meeting, and thank you all so much for pulling together. Ravi, thank you for recognizing those who stepped up today. That's excellent. At this time, I would like to ask Raj, would you mind stepping out for just a moment? We have some important business to conduct. We'd like to call a vote for you because we are going to welcome you officially as a new Toastmaster, but we need just a minute. Would you mind stepping out, and we'll be right back with you. Thank you so much. A round of applause, everybody. Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, I'd like to put a motion on the floor that we approve by vote, majority vote, Viraj be welcome to Unity Speakers as a member. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Fantastic. Let's welcome him back. Thank you very much. All right. Woo!
You're going to jail.
Welcome to Unity.
To Carpe Diem.
Yes.
All right, you guys. 1, 2, and then one more. 1, 2. All right.
Thank you very much.
He did not
Oh,
get
you got a pin.
Hey.
Mr. BPM.
We're supposed to have an icebreaker and candy.
I want to take just a second. I know we've heard about it. I just want to recognize the incredible moment it is to welcome a new DTM in Toastmasters. Don, you inspire all of us, but I can only speak for myself, and you inspire me every day, both as a leader and also as a communicator. And I thank you so much for being a part of this and all that you share with me and with all of us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Party at Don's house, everybody. Okay,
All right.
fantastic. And then, speaking of parties, I'd like to remind you about our holiday party, which is on Saturday. A huge thanks to Tom Ottstadt. They are hosting us, so Tom and Caitlin are going to be hosting us on Saturday evening. We'll get one more email out, but let's go ahead and sign up to bring cookies and salsa and guacamole and all the stuff if you'd like, or beverages and that sort of thing, okay? So, how many of you are going, by the way? Yeah? Okay, fantastic. It should be a great time.
It's
Thanks, everybody.
BYOB, right?
Yeah, well, pretty sure. I'm bringing enough to share. I'm bringing Presidente margaritas.
Oh,
okay.
great.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, haha. One more final reminder. Our contest is January 24th. You're going to need 6 speeches under your belt to be qualified to be a contestant. We have 3 contestants signed up right now. We're doing both the evaluation contest and speech contest. So please see our contest chair or me, your contest manager. We'll answer any questions. There is an executive meeting to follow, so it's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, folks. Thanks very much for a great meeting. Have a great week. Thank you. All right.